Welcome to the FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilba, JGilba11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 15-game slate here over on FanDuel. And we got ourselves a Coors game. We also have Scherzer and possibly another max strikeout game.
15-game slate, more like 15-game hate. Hate.
You don't like it? You don't like it, bud?
No, I just wanted to say that. No, it's pretty fun. Obviously, Scherzer is going to be the guy you probably want to own for pitching. So when you keep that in mind, really looking at 2,900 left at each spot. So just generally keep that in your awareness level.
Yeah, when you're going Scherzer. And that's going to be the contradiction that people have tonight is, do you spin down and try and get Coors in, or do you go Scherzer and kind of try and build a balanced lineup? Because once again, we've seen it work both ways in the past.
Yeah, we definitely have. I guess it depends on floor versus ceiling. So tournaments, that's a very interesting debate.
Yes, I love how very serious you are about this. When
I
you
have
post these shares,
I have a little carbonation in my chest right now, and it's about to burp out. So you got to be serious until that happens.
Looking at catcher here, and for me, if you're paying up, it's going to be Wellington Castillo at 3,600. Pretty much takes kind of a lot of those guys out of play for me. Gets a lefty in Coors, and Beef Wellington's the way to go there.
Ooh, Beef Wellington, hamburger helper. That was a little word association there for you guys at home. I definitely like Castillo. He's definitely my top guy. Posey, I just can't get behind it tonight. I mean, it's still in range, but I just much rather own Castillo there in that range.
Yeah, and that kind of goes for me with kind of really everyone over 3K. Obviously you have some guys that are in good spots. A Matt Wieters or Derek Norris are certainly contrarian pivots if you need to save that extra, couple hundred, but they're more, deep pivots if you're building multiple lines, but I still think Castillo's the guy you just kind of just keep plugging away at.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a guy you just look to again. I mean, it's just a great spot and pretty much a lot of factors going his way.
Yeah, definitely. Wilson Contreras at 2,500 is the guy who I'm looking at. He's hitting well. Hitting each game since the 19th, and at that price, Kohler's not obviously a guy you're kind of shying away from, and he's kind of the drop down option for me.
Right. Victor Martinez, if there is a Tiger you go with tonight, it's probably Victor Martinez. Obviously you don't like targeting Salazar pretty much at all. But if you are, I think Martinez is a nice leverage play.
Yeah, he's probably the only Tiger that I'll take a shot on tonight. 3K. Obviously Salazar's been dominant this year. Really tough matchup, and you're a big fan of Salazar in general as far as using him tonight.
Right, I am. So yeah, the righties sure don't have a chance. So maybe Victor will get a single and a double on the left side of the plate tonight.
Oh, calling your shot there, really going big.
Yes.
With Contreras at 2,500, he's kind of that really only punt option that I'm really kind of looking at there. Outside that, it just depends who's catching for the Mets. You mentioned Rivera. Travis d'Arnaud is a guy at 2K who could be in the lineup as well.
Right. And FanDuel makes it pretty easy to punt at catcher. So there's always going to be guys down there, especially on a 15-gamer in that 2K range. So I'm not too worried about that. If you do want to pay down, there's going to be stuff there.
Yeah, definitely. And moving on over to FanDuel, and here's where we were kind of looking for some sort of difference from Goldschmidt to another guy in the lead spot, and that's David Ortiz at 4,200. Obviously, Goldie at 49 is going to be a top play, just given a lefty in Coors is what you want for Goldschmidt. He's the obvious play, but you have
nice
Myers and
bump
Ortiz
down.
there.
Nice bump down. I'll take that. It puts them in a different tier, and it makes them different. So I do like that. Ortiz, I still like Goldschmidt more, even with 700 more. But it's really close, and him and Ortiz are really vying for the top spot there. So price considered, I'd say they're about dead even.
Yeah, definitely. And I still think Will Myers and some of these Padres bats are in play, more so the kind of the bigger names like Kemp and Myers. Um, at the price tag, I mean, all three of those guys are in, the better hitter parks on the slate, going up against, average at pitching. So I think you're kind of looking at them as kind of that top tier guys. And if I'm looking lower, I mean, Joey Votto, if he's in the lineup at 3,400, is going to be a solid option for me against Colin Rea. Pinch hit last night, so you're kind of hoping that he comes back in and is healthy for today. And it's just a flu, so it's not really an injury or anything like that.
Yeah. Mark Reynolds. Are we going back to the old Mark Reynolds well again tonight, or is that something that's not really that appealing?
It is. I mean, anyone in course is certainly appealing. And he's still a drop off from some of those big names.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely in play. I mean, obviously a GPP guy.
Yeah.
He's definitely in play against Bradley there.
Mm-hmm.
So looking lower, I mean, we talked about Martinez. I mean, being a guy to possibly pick on, and Hanley at that price. I mean, that's intriguing for me at 3,100. I think I might have a share or two of Hanley. I don't think a lot of people will on this slate because I think the obvious options are sitting up top. But, I mean, you get a guy who, the power really hasn't been there as years in the past, but a really great matchup and a really great park.
Yeah, and depending on how your lineup comes out, it's just what fits comfortably, So you don't necessarily have to force in those top options if you can throw in a Hanley at 31, and maybe you want to spend that 1,100 elsewhere and maybe pay up for an outfielder or something.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Hanley's about the lowest as I'm going to go. I don't really see anyone that I feel comfortable using.
You don't want to get too caught up in punting first tonight because there's going to be some high upside guys.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at second base here, and Gene Segura at 3,800 is kind of the guy who kind of takes the cake. I mean, yeah, he's better against righties, but still facing a lefty in course is certainly very playable at that price tag.
Yeah, I'm certainly not looking at Cano or Carpenter or Altuve over Segura tonight. I think the matchup plus the ballpark seals the deal for him as my top second baseman, and FanDuel was nice enough to make him like the sixth highest price guy. So he's going to be high owned, but I think you just roll with it.
Yeah, definitely. And really, I mean, over 3,400 is kind of, I just bump up to Segura there in that whole tier. I mean, you do have some contrarian guys you can go with, the Daniel Murphy, Jonathan Scope,
Right.
but they're both at 3,600. They're in play as far as moving off of those guys. But I think overall, I think I kind of prefer to spin down to a Starlin Castro, a Brandon Phillips, if anything, at 3K, if I am going to kind of make a real move down.
I kind of like how close Murphy is to Segura because I know Segura is going to be high owned. And I think that's a nice pivot off of him. So I do like Murphy tonight. Nice pivot off the top option there.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of spinning down, I mean, Josh Harrison at 2,300. Some of these Pirates bats are really cheap, and Harrison's been boom or busted lately, but I think at the 2,300 price tag on the slate, and, if you do want to get a bigger name in with a higher price pitcher, you are going to need some punts, and Harrison's a quality name, a quality bat at 2,300.
I like that call.
So, I mean, that's for me. I mean, those are kind of the only guys that I'm really looking at second base.
And then obviously Scooter Gannett versus Scherzer. Duh. Come on, bro.
If he homers tonight because you said that, I'm going to lose. Third base, and you got your names up top. I mean, Arenado and Donaldson, 4,400 and 4,500, both in good spots. Obviously, the chorus factor is going to have you bump Arenado up over Donaldson, but certainly in play for me. And a 4,400 price tag is definitely doable on the slate.
Yeah, and Jake Lamb 4,600, and that's viable. It makes sense. So that's fair. Arenado, that's a reasonable price for him. So yeah, I think they're all in play. I'm not really fading any of them. It just sort of depends on which way I'm going because the one guy it might be tough is Donaldson because are you stacking Blue Jays tonight?
I
you
don't find
know?
myself doing that too often. I mean, there are some guys I
So
like.
right. So I don't know. You obviously play Arenado in a Colorado stack. You obviously play Lamb in a Diamondback stack. So I don't know where Donaldson really fits in other than a random tournament lineup.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, I think that's where he only lands for me. I mean, not a
Yeah.
cashing guy. I'll roll Arenado there if I'm paying up at third
Hmm.
base.
Right.
Spinning down A-Rod 3,400 against Tommy Malone. I mean, obviously A-Rod's far from a safe option, but in this matchup against Malone, who's home run prone in Yankee Stadium, 3,400 is pretty intriguing.
It's definitely intriguing. Few other guys in that range. Todd Frazier in a weird spot, but obviously always has that home run power, and then Valencia. But yeah, I think I like A-Rod most in that range.
Yeah, definitely. And Jungho Kang 3K, he's kind of slowed down a little bit from the hot start coming back from injury, but he's in a nice matchup. I do like some of these Pirates bats. I do like their value that they hold. So I think
Hmm.
if you are going balance with the Scherzer, I think you're kind of going to find yourself with a couple Pirates in there.
Definitely.
So Niever Solarte, I mean, 2,600. Is he still a viable option for you, or are you still kind of off of him just on a full slate?
The price here is very intriguing. But uh, the train's over, I think. So
Boy,
it's
man, it's
more of
broken down on the side, the smoke steaming up
broken
top. You're
down.
done. The Solarte train's
I
gone.
yeah, and like you don't have any money in your savings or savings account, so you can't get towed, and like you're just kind of sitting there.
You're just
It's not.
you're just willing a big
You're,
truck up the side of a wheat hill.
yeah, you're waiting for like public transportation to come by and pick you up, basically. So that's
What a
Solarte's
rough life.
situation.
What a rough
Yeah,
life, man. Just
yeah,
throwing him
it's
under the
tough.
bus.
Yeah. No, no, no. We're getting on the bus. We're not getting under the bus. We're leaving. We're leaving
He's
him there, stranded.
he's an option for me. Um, Obviously, a contrarian value play. I mean, it's a really nice park. I mean, obviously, Reed shows some strikeout upside. I'm not as high on the Padres' lower end guys like in Norris or Solarte as I was last night, just
Uh-huh.
because Reed does miss some more bats. And you're obviously looking at a full slate now. It's not 5 games, so that's where
Right.
the negatives come into play.
For sure.
So, uh, Johnny Peralta, he's an intriguing option. I mean, not the greatest ballpark, but you're looking at a lefty-righty matchup there. That's not really bad for some of these Cardinals right-handers, and their price is more so on FanDuel. They're completely priced up all the way over on DraftKings, so it's a different
Mhm.
opportunity here.
Definitely. Yeah. There's reasonable options. I'm not saying not, but I think this is another spot where you want to pay up if you can,
Mhm.
at least to that mid 3K range.
Yeah, I think that A-Rod range or the Junko Kane range is solid.
Hmm.
Shortstop here,
Kind of a bummer.
dude. Trevor Story at 3,300. That's Core's value. He takes the cake for me. I mean, it's not Greinke on the hill. You're getting Archie Bradley, who's since last year 3.37 WOBA allowed to righties, a little bit home run prone at times, obviously in Core's. That's Core's value. 3,300 Trevor Story.
Yeah, no kidding. I was more referring to Correa when I said kind of a bummer that he's 4,100. I don't think he's really in play, especially with Story there. Obviously he's in play in the tournament, but there's no reasonable reason to be paying up that 800 for Correa over Story. So, you just take that 800 discount and plug him in, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you're getting exposure, you're getting it for a mid-range price, and
And his 40% in tournament ownership. You get that too.
yeah, which it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not.
I mean, for on FanDuel, I mean, that takes a lot of prices out. I mean, Bogarts obviously is in a solid spot and has upside as well. But 3,900, I mean, in comparison to a Story at Coors is tough to do. And I mean, even dropping below, I mean, guys that we usually like in the past, Bays or a Marcus Semien, they're not priced really low enough for me to swerve off a Story.
Only as a swerve, which means like if you're just trying to be contrarian, you know. it's not necessarily Story's the play, but I can see wanting to be different there because he is going to be high owned.
Yeah, he is, and maybe he does have another 1 for 5 game, and you do make a pivot off, and you kind of get that hedge going.
Hmm.
Looking lower, I mean, shortstop will be a spot that I punt. I think Story kind of takes that into different consideration for me because I don't see a lot of guys that are kind of worth looking at, and maybe something opens up when the lineups come out.
Right.
So, I mean, anyone else that catches your eye, tickles your fancy?
Ooh, I hope no one's tickling my fancy. Not really. I mentioned Villar being the only Brewer bat that has a chance, but he doesn't really have that good of a chance either. So he's not really in play. Uh, if the superstar Gregorio Petit's in the lineup, I mean he's only 2,700.
But that's my thing. I mean, how far is that away from Story enough to make you use him?
It's not.
You just
It's
like
not
saying
far enough.
Gregorio Pettit.
Yeah, I just like saying that.
Yeah. Looking at outfield here, and I think once again, I mean, obviously the core bats of Blackman and Gonzalez kind of take the cake for guys over 4K.
Yeah, no question. I mean that's pretty obvious for me. Blackman. I don't think I'm really into Trout tonight, especially in terms of stacking potential. So I think you just roll with the Colorado bats here if you are going to pay up, and maybe a Mookie Betts as well. But I think those are the pretty clear. And unless you're doing a contrarian red stack, in which case Jay Bruce obviously in play.
Yeah, and then I mean, I'm with you. I think paying up for them is the obvious options. There are some swerves you can make. I mean, there's 4 really lefty mashers here in this range. I mean, Adam Jones and Trumbo both facing Matt Moore. Moore's been very average. I mean, going back to last year, 360 wobble out to righties, 1.50 runs per 9. In Camden Yard, very friendly. And obviously, you have Kemp who's destroying lefties in Great American. So the prices are pretty close, but those are also guys that should be talked about and should be mixed into your lineups if you're paying up that high.
Trumbo kind of makes you think about like what Trout's numbers would be in a different ballpark. Like if he was on a different team. It's pretty wild.
If he was in Camden Yards or any
Yeah,
real ALE stadium, I mean, Jesus,
he
except
would
for the
just
Braves.
be. Yeah, obviously. But like imagine if he was in Coors, he'd hit like 50 homers a year.
Oh my dude, he would be 6K on FanDuel easily, easily.
For sure. For sure. Adam Duvall, like once again, a pretty decent value here at 36. I mean, he just keeps hitting home runs. So I think we throw him in there once again, right?
Yeah, I like him. Gregory Polanco, not quite the value that he was on DraftKings, but still playable. Um,
Hmm.
in that range, I mean, he's kind of my favorite at Duval as well. But I think after that, I start to kind of drop down and look for my value.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, there's kind of like a lot of meh here, bad matchups and mediocre players.
Yeah, and I mean, we looked at DK and McCutcheon was 3K, which is just dirt cheap there. Here, he's actually priced.
34 is not even that great of a value. So I still think he's in play. He is a good play tonight, but it's a little less of a bargain.
Yeah, definitely. And when you got some guys lower, I mean, we talked about Lorenzo Kane, depending on which Keuchel shows up tonight. 3,100 is intriguing. And then you got Peter O'Brien at 3,100 facing the lefty in Coors.
Peter O'Brien.
And you got Ricky Weeks as well at 3K. So there are some cheap spin down options. So I do think you kind of mix and match or even go kind of completely balance in the outfield if you wanted to.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of ways to go here, so I'm not too worried about not being able to find value or if you want to pay up, I think that's also an option as well. So I think this is the really versatile as it is most nights on 15 game slates. Outfield definitely can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and looking at Joey Ricard 2,800, that's a nice value for him. He's hit lefties well. A Chris Coughlin at 2,500 is really intriguing. Depending, he should be up in the top of the lineup. And I hate to say it, but Billy Hamilton could be in play for me tonight. I mean, obviously not the greatest hitter in the world, but stolen base upside at 2,500. He is a little bit intriguing to me at that price tag.
He just needs to get on base. If he can just get on base, you're getting the stolen base. but getting on base is hard for him. So, yeah, no, totally agree. Obviously, crazy stolen base upside. He pretty much that's what happens when he gets on base. But yeah. So if he can get on there, I definitely agree. He has quite a bit of upside there.
Yeah, definitely. And him and Coughlin are about as low as I go for as far as 2,500 guys. I don't really see
Mhm.
myself using kind of anyone else lower to really punt down to.
Right.
So that's going to wrap things up here at the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all the great tools and content.